Hi there, my name is Curt, and this is my big kitty cat, Francis. We live in Forest Hills in Queens, New York. And I work as a tour guide of food walking tours around New York City. Recently, I read this really great book by Evie McGee Colbert and Stephen Colbert, and it's called Does This Taste Funny? Well, does it? Came up with this idea of cooking my way through it, kind of like Julie and Julia, but more like Curt Cooks Colbert's. That's what I'm going to do, is cook my way through the Colbert's cookbook. So what I like about the cookbook a lot is it tells a story of their family, and it is inspired by Evie McGee Colbert's mother, Patty McGee. And you can tell just by looking at her that this is a glamorous, quintessential Southern hostess. The first one is cheese biscuits. And I do not know how to make biscuits. I never have made biscuits. So I know somebody that is one of the best bakers in America. Her name is Sarah Beth. She's at Chelsea Market. So we're gonna head on over there, and I'm gonna see if I can get some advice from Sarah Beth on how not to screw up the receipt. I will be doing this cooking here in my expansive, beautiful kitchen. So this is what a New York City apartment kitchen looks like. Isn't it vast? I've actually put the cutting board on top of the sink because in New York, this is sometimes how you have to cutting board or countertop. Okie dokie artichokes, let's head on over to Sarah Beth and get some advice for the cheese biscuits.
But I want to just say one thing.
Tell me again what you like about the book.
Like you just said, you have to be precise with baking.
Yeah.
You don't have to be as precise with cooking, because in the process of cooking, you can make an adjustment.
Well,
in the process of baking, you've mixed it and now it's in the oven. And when you see if something is going wrong, there's nothing.
Yeah, because you just watch it like go bad, basically. It's just they're going bad.
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So if you're a person who's picky and very precise and follows rules and is, very
organized. Some more organized people it's more suited for. They talk about how cooking is more like improvising, and Stephen Colbert is an improviser. I've done improvising, and I'm a yes and kind of a guy. But baking for me is always kind of...
There is no improvising in baking until you learn how to make a basic recipe.
Right.
You cannot make substitutions when you make a recipe for the first time. Many people decide on a rainy day they want to bake.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So they look in the cabinet, they look in their cookbooks. Oh, I'm going to make this. They say, oh, gee, I don't have raisins. What can I put in there instead of a raisin? Oh, I'll have some chocolate chips. But that's really not called for in the recipe.
Yeah, it's the same color, though.
I don't have baking powder.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll put in baking soda. No, they're two different things.
Yeah.
All right. Or a recipe can call for a combination. A cake can call for a combination of baking powder and baking soda. More baking powder than baking soda, so that there's an acidity in it. It kind of neutralizes. That's the purpose of the baking soda. So people look at a recipe. Oh, I don't have the baking soda. I'm just going to make with the baking powder, and then you have all this lemon juice in the recipe.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, the whole thing curdles in the oven, and
it goes kaboom.
Kaboom.
Yeah.
So you have to be that person. But what I love about this book is that it's precise, but it tricks the mind to read like a story. Because
it's not intimidating, like you were saying. So the way, instead of, like, the ingredients are here, but instead of just everything bump, lied out in some sort of Joseph Mengler kind of a way, this is more of a flow. This is more organic.
And I love the idea of this recipe. Like in this recipe, you have to let the melted butter and the cheese mixture cool down. It gives you a time of how long to let it cool. So you have to pay attention to the details, even though they're not set up boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Okay, got in here a half a pound of extra sharp cheddar cheese, and you've got here 16 tablespoons, which is a quarter of a stick. It's a half a pound of fat. I'm interested to see the texture.
Yeah.
Because I have never before put flour into a warm liquid. So they don't tell you to cool the mixture down. I'm very interested to see the chemistry of what happens with the heat and the flour. It's going to be gooey. It's probably going to be very soft and gooey. And if it's a little bit too gooey, as they mention in here, they don't use the word gooey, But if it's too moist, you can take a few handfuls of flour and just...
So that's it. So I can put the flour in there.
Yep.
I got one of these at home.
What?
I got one of these at
You're
home.
all set.
Okay, that just saved me $5.
I want to say something about the book and the photography, because I think the photography is really beautiful.
That's coming from a lady who has 2 really beautiful cookbooks.
I just love the book. It just feels so warm. And look at the bread here. They did a beautiful job here on this bread here. Very inviting, cozy, lovable, embraceable.
Yeah.
And it's casual. And I think, well, I love him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. One of my favorites. I love him.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to making these.
Well, I'm looking forward to you bringing them back.
As soon as I have them done, I'll bring them back to you.
Okay.
And we can do a little taste of them and see what you
Fantastic.
like. Okay, you guys, this is Sarah Beth. Thank you so much for taking the time. That was super helpful talking to Sarah Beth. Let me go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you the ingredients for the cheese biscuit. Here are our ingredients. We've got butter and we've got margarine. This is some cayenne, 2 cups of self-rising flour, 8 ounces of sharp cheddar, egg white. I've got pecans. With pecans, you really want to make sure that they're not all broken up. So that's a whole pecan, but the bags, some of them look like they'd been in a terrible accident. That's our ingredients. You take the butter and the margarine and you melt it down into a pan. Butter needs to be melted at a really low temperature, and when it's melted, just turn all of the heat off. And then you want to slowly incorporate, as the receipt says, the extra sharp Cracker Barrel cheddar. So that looks like it's blending in. I've got a sifter and I've got the flour. So I guess Sarah Beth says you just sift it. It's all getting mixed up. Hold on, this is a lot going on at once. We're just gonna keep adding this all together until it's turned into a dough. And oh my gosh, shut the front door and slap and culture. I made a boo-boo. Patty McGee, I need to put in the dash. I have not put the dash of the cayenne in yet. So I'm gonna put 2 dashes in because it says put as many in as you want. So I guess I'm gonna max out at 2. Okay, the problem is now I'm mixing cayenne into an already made dough. So there is the potential that it might not mix in completely. I'm gonna let it cool for, it says 20 minutes, and then roll it into balls. Let's try that. And then we take the pecan and we will dip the pecan into it, into the egg white that we did, and then that gets planted on top. These are the little babies, the bambinos. And now they're going into the preheated oven at 325 degrees. It has been just about 20 minutes and the apartment smells amazing. It's all cheesy and buttery. I'm gonna take them out of the oven. Our biscuits are done. Oh my God, they look so freaking cute. Check that out. They are adorable. I'll let them cool in the pan for about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna transfer them, listen to me talking, I'm gonna transfer them to a cooling rack. They have cooled on the cooling rack. Before we head over to Sarah Beth's, I want to try these babies. They look really cute. They are really beautiful looking, and they're cheesy. They smell good. The whole place smells really good. They're super cheesy, but not overly cheesy. It's well balanced. They're definitely filling. This is party food. So, Mr. Stephen Colbert does recommend, with said party food, with the cheese biscuit, have yourself a bourbon and soda. I think that's a good combination. I was telling somebody about this recipe, and they said, that sounds great. Can I do it without the pecan? And I said, sure, but you know what you're not gonna be making? Patty McGee's cheese biscuits. So stick with the recipe. Another person said, how do we get these recipes that you're talking about? Well, that's simple. There's a book, and it's called Does This Taste Funny? And it's available in stores, so you can actually purchase it, take it home, and then cook it. Okie dokie, off to Sarah Beth for the professional opinion on these biscuits. Personally, as an amateur, I think they're delicious. Okay, let's head.
Oh wow, aren't they the cutest things I ever saw? They're like little buttons.
I know, they're cute as a pail full of kittens. I like them.
Well, before I taste it, I'm going to look at it as a pastry chef.
Okay.
I'm going to break it open.
I'm going to eat it as a hungry
No,
person.
and I'm going to look. You did a really good job. It's nice and flaky. You didn't overmix it. Really nice.
I felt like I hadn't mixed it enough.
Perfect. Very crunchy. Delicious.
Good.
Really.
Now it has a cayenne in it. So I didn't put the cayenne until the end.
Not that strong.
Well, it depends, I think, on which bite you get into, because once I mixed it, then I was like, Jean-Claude Van Damme, I forgot the cayenne.
Look at this little buster.
Yeah, so that's why you got a big...
That's a little spicy buster there.
Yeah, that's going to knock you on your butt, Buster.
Yeah.
So that was one mistake that I made.
I love the pecan.
I've never done it. I've never
it
thought
tastes
about it.
You know why I like the pecan?
Why?
Because the pecan is one nut of all the nuts that has this natural sweetness to it. So
it's a little toasty too, but it's got a sweetness.
But it's got a sweetness against the intensity of the cheese and the cayenne. I'm very impressed with your baking.
Family recipe. Your business started with a family recipe.
It did.
The family recipe for your, I got it right here, the orange apricot marmalade with a little bit of pineapple.
1981, first jar. A cafe that my husband Bill had built, and they were having a little party. It was just like a little...
Bill's a fantastic guy, by the way.
Oh my God.
Fantastic
Don't even
guy.
get me started.
I know.
My partner in business and in life.
Yeah.
So he said, honey, why don't you make your aunt's orange apricot marmalade? Which really was the recipe of her mother-in-law, grand-mère from Paris. And then the next thing you know, grand-mère, which was the mother-in-law of my Aunt Ruth, she taught me how to make it.
You entered into the fancy food
show.
Yes.
Well, I think it was in the second year that we were open, I believe, that we participated in the SFT, the fancy, food show. Won the whole show.
Best overall product. A family recipe like Patty McGee's can really change things up. Thank you so much for working with me on this. I really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I'm going to be cooking my way through and getting as much help as I can from amazing people like Miss Sarah Beth. Thank you very much. Well, I was thrilled with how that all went with Sarah Beth, and I think that the cheese biscuits turned out really well. I am going to continue making my way through the cookbook, going from one recipe to another. The first section is all party food. They're calling it party food because this might be filling enough for a whole meal. And the next recipe that I'm doing is their crab meat quiche. Okay, the thing is, it calls for a food processor pie crust. I've never made a pie crust before in my life, but I'm going to try to, and stay tuned and be sure to subscribe as I make my way through. Does this taste funny? Well, does it? Waka waka. Curt Cooks Colbert. Subscribe.